Now, you'll notice something in this video. Every gatame that we've looked at so far has been done from some variation of bottom position. There's a reason for that. I believe gatame is a fantastic move from bottom position. All you have to do is off balance an opponent, get hands towards the mat, get an overhook in the case of gatame. These are easy things to do. And the beauty of gatame and its variation, gatame, is that the attacks are very, very fast. They come on quickly. Everything about them, the setup is fast, the execution is fast, and they make opponents very, very nervous. The setups are easy and the attacks are quick. As a result, they create situations where your opponent's afraid even to reach for you. And that's really the spirit that we're working with. Off those initial attacks, you attack on the second move, and that's when you get your submissions and your big scores. There is, however, one version of gatame from the top that I really do believe in. Most versions of gatame from top position, I'm not a fan of. Okay, part of my gatame philosophy is 95% of the attacks you could do with gatame are going to be from underneath your opponent. The vast majority of gatame attacks performed from top come at too much risk and not enough upside. There's nothing about the move which justifies the risks you'd need to take. When I was a white belt, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I was taught gatames like this. From an underhook and top side control, we pop up and bring our legs over our chin partner's head and just sit here and apply gatame. I'm not a fan of these kinds of things. Okay, you started side control top. If this doesn't work, and there's kind of a high likelihood there's not a lot of control, you're just wedging the arm in that position and hoping for the best, you've lost a lot. And it's just not worth the risk involved. There's just better things you can do. From positions like that, man, stick with the classic ones. Juji gatame, strangles, back controls, that's what you do from top position. Stay on top of them. Don't hit loose and weak-looking gatames hoping for the best. These are Hail Mary moves. There is one exception, however. There is a variation of gatame that you can apply from chest to chest pressure. My spiel on gatame from top is this. If you're on top of people and your gatame requires you to lose chest to chest position, throw it in the trash bag, because that's where it belongs. There's just better things you can do, much better things. I'm the biggest fan of gatame from bottom position, not a fan of conventional versions from top. Any version where you lose chest to chest, get rid of it. It's not worth it. There's better things you can do every single time. But there is one version which I do believe in. So let's have a look at it. From a situation where you're pinning your opponent and you're chest to chest, and your opponent is in a good defensive position. Well, what does that mean, a good defensive position? It usually means something like this. He has a forearm inside your hip, and he has a posted hand here. This is where he should be, okay? If his hands are drifting around in the breeze in here, well, you can do all kinds of arm bars and things like that. So let's have a look at this. What are we going to do? We're going to take his arm out of position by repositioning our body from chest to stomach. So we're going to come through, and we're going to put our elbow all the way up here next to our training partner's elbow. If you want, you can wedge the other side of the hip. Do you see how my chest changed position? When I started, I was chest to chest. But when I go here to the elbow, I end up chest to stomach. How do I know I'm in the right place? Because my jaw touches his hip here. Now, what I want to do is come down to my training partner's hip, and I want my elbow to be right next to my training partner's elbow. I take my hand and my wrist and I bring it up inside my training partner's elbow. Plus, take your left hand and keep it close to my left shoulder, like this. Good. So you're not going to give this to me for free. Now, what we do is we pressure forward, like this, and that takes his hand out. Guys, you can only do this if your elbow is close to the hip. If my elbow drifts out here, there's no pressure. So this is what we're looking for. Everything in tight, like so. Almost like we're coming up almost like north-south. And then I just pressure forward, and the hand comes out like magic. Now we come back into this position. What I'm going to do for the first version of this move is capture it with my thumb. I keep my elbow in place. In the first version, I'm going to take my hand and bring it to my collarbone, my thumb to my collarbone. And my pressure is not straight down to the mat. It's diagonal down to the floor.
Ooh, tap, tap.
Okay? What I'm trying to do is capture, straight out your arm, Placido. There's a tricep, here's the elbow, is one thing. There's a tricep tendon right here. The tricep tendon, Placido will tell you, that you feel some pain when it's well constricted, okay? You're gonna break the elbow, but your fulcrum is placed here on the tricep tendon.
I feel no pain, John.
The only way you can do this is to keep a deep V in your arm, like you're flexing your bicep. I know you do that a lot, Placido.
All the time.
So we lock it in here. The further my hand from my chest, the less effective the breaking fulcrum. So this is what we want. I bring my chest on the top of his elbow. Placido, just got to move your arm around. It's completely stuck, okay? Now, if you press down, it runs into the floor too quickly. So what I want to do is pressure this way, along the mat, okay? There's variations of this, and this has always been my favorite. Guys, don't grab the wrist. Grab the end of the lever. Take the web of your thumb and put it here over his thumb. So when he tries to curl his hand and flex and do all those things that people do, there's nothing, okay? And Placido will tell you, when it stretches out, dude, it comes on very quickly. It's a nasty, nasty lock, okay? We're going to do this move assuming our opponent has good skills. We're not going against some naive person who just has his arms floating around the breeze. This guy knows what he's doing. He's defensively responsible. You can tell he's defensively responsible because he's got his arms in the right place. First forearm inside the hip, and second forearm here in front of my collarbones. If my opponent was naive, he might have his arms drifting around here, and then I would just do normal attacks, judo gatame, kimura, etc., etc. But this guy knows what he's doing. So from here, I'm going to shift from chest to chest. I go elbow to elbow, and then from elbow to elbow, we come down chest to stomach. Now, the first thing we focus on is getting the deep V around his elbow here. So my hand comes up, and you'll see that my elbow is in a deep flex around his elbow, and we're as close to his body as possible. Don't be out here, guys. Nothing good happens out here. There's too much play in the arms. We come in just like this. Now, if Placido goes to move his arm out,
it's wedged.
It's really tough. Now I turn my hip to get his hand in front of me, and then from this position, we come back, we gather it up, and that's our breaking position. Okay? I take the hand in this direction. If I go straight down to the floor, you tend to run into the floor too early. How I grab is important. Don't grab the wrist that's short on the lever. Grab the end of the lever, the web of your thumb over his thumb knuckle, so that when he goes to move around, just the pressure on the tricep tendon is pretty intimidating. When you add this lock, it's done, okay? Now, guys, we need to have a word about the tricep tendon. You're breaking the elbow, but your fulcrum is here, 1 to 2 inches above the elbow on the tricep tendon. There's a long, flat tendon that runs in the back of the elbow, which is extremely painful when a fulcrum is put underneath it. Placido will tell you, when you lock over it, when he goes to take his arm out,
it's wedged.
It's not going anywhere. And then when you pressure over the top, it's going to get a submission hold every single time. Okay? So this is one of the most effective ways of applying, in my opinion, it is the most effective way of applying a variation of ude gatame from top position. Okay? It's a straightened arm lock, and it just comes on. It's an intimidating lock when you feel it. Now, what's the downside of this? The downside is you are reducing the width of your base by bringing your elbows so close to your opponent's body. So what if I had a Hercules underneath me here?
Or Samson.
That's Samson from here, and he put his forearm underneath my hip, and when I was trying to do this, he just bench pressed me right off. Okay, that's no good. When you feel this kind of thing going on, look at Placido's elbow, it's underneath my hip, walk away from the elbow. Come down all the way through like so. Now when he goes to lift underneath you,
There's nothing.
there's nothing to work with, okay? Don't do this when his elbow is still wedged underneath you. You're out of base, he goes to lift, and it's all gone, okay? So when he's got that elbow in good position, your first thing is to slide off of it. Now from here, we capture our training partner's arm. Even if he's got his hand behind me,
This one?
yes. Okay, we've already seen the trick for that. Look how, when he tries to lift me with his right arm, he's not underneath me anymore. So it's really easy for us to pressure forward and get a hold of that arm. We always stay away from that annoying right hand of his, and then we lock it up. We get the pressure over the tricep tendon. When Placido tries to rip his arm free,
It's not happening.
when he tries to get his right arm underneath and lift me, it's not really there to be worked, and the pressure comes on immediately, okay? So this is a very, very useful way of attacking urigatame from top position that really works well. Now, there is a second variation of this, in which we maintain a figure 4 grip, okay? My favorite way of doing this is to lock and get that deep V and then pressure over the V shape of my arm. But you can also lock a figure 4 grip. This will result in a less effective fulcrum, but you have the advantage of 2-hand control on your opponent, okay? I want you to try both and see which one you prefer. So, same setup, and we've gotten through just like so, but instead of taking the inverted grip with the thumb here, we're going to take a conventional grip with the thumb. So instead of this, we go here. Instead of controlling the thumb itself with the longest possible lever, we go here on the wrist. And then from here, we grab a hold of our own wrist just like so. Now, when you hit this one, typically the elbow will be further from the body. The way we did it before, my elbow was in contact with his torso. In the figure 4 method, we typically straighten everything out here. Guys, don't go straight to the floor. When you go straight to the floor, a flexible opponent won't feel it. You want to go outwards here. That's where you get your pressure from, okay? When Placido goes to rotate his hand,
I can't.
it's not as easy as people say, I would just rotate my hand inwards. If you do, you go into a kimura, so that's not going to help. But on this one here, look how we pressure outwards, okay? And this too is a very effective method. Let's have a look at how this might occur against a skilled opponent who's got his arms in good defensive position. So Placido is defensively responsible. We come in, we get that elbow to elbow position that we've been talking about. And our first thing from here is to move away from his defensive elbows. And then there's that same pressure that brings his hand into a position where we can attack it. Now we come through, we get our grip, and then from this position, we finish. Guys, here's let's rotate this way, buddy. Here's an important point. If my head is inside Placido's forearm, I can't break it. So the whole thing is to bring our head outside of his elbow.
Tap.
That's where we get our breaking pressure. Lead with the head. Don't have a stationary head and try and do this. It's not going to work. So from here, lead with the head,
Tap.
and there's your finish. Okay? So whether you choose the deep V or the figure 4, I leave it up to you. I've seen both be very, very effective. My favorite way of doing it was figure 4 with a reverse grip, and that was very effective for me. In this way, you can realistically go into and attack an opponent who knows what he's doing. Okay, remember, if he's flopping all over the place with his arms, you could attack with whatever you wanted. And I would suggest just sticking to the classic top attacks. Jujigatame, strangles from the back, guillotines, etc., etc. But if this guy's got good defensive hand position, he knows what he's doing, sometimes you need a different kind of attack. And urigatame from here, dude, it's a good one. It's an intimidating lock that when you feel it, when you drill with your buddies, you're going to think, damn, that's a tight lock. And by utilizing the very painful pressure on the tricep tendon, even before you go to apply braking pressure, you'll get a lot of people to tap just from the sheer discomfort of that alone. And when you add the braking mechanics, it's on. So let's quickly just run through the whole sequence again. We're going to start with the assumption that our opponent knows what he's doing, is a good opponent, and has his arms in a defensively responsible situation. So, starting off in here, we're going to take our arm across. Initially, we're chest to chest. Then from here, we come down elbow to elbow. from the elbow to elbow position. We tackle the hips and we get off his defensive arm and down here like so. Now, our first thing is we've got to get his hand off the back of our head. So we take our hand and put it onto his stomach. Plus, it will tell you you've already got a lot of control of the tricep tendon. So when he makes his hands stiff and resistant, we're just going to shrug like this. Okay, come back, Placido. If I keep my head looking towards him, his hand gets caught and won't move. So what we do is we look away here. Then watch my shoulder roll. That's what takes the hand off. Now, my favorite thing to do from here is to come back with that deep V and just lock it right here. The deep V means my thumb is on my own collarbone, like so. And the elbow is very close to Placido's body. So when he tries to roll me through,
It's not going to happen.
extremely difficult. We grab with an inverted grip, thumb to thumb.
Tap,
And from here, the pressure is damn scary. If you don't like that kind of grip, then you're going to grip here. And you're going to take a figure 4 grip. And you're going to bring your elbow further out. And then from this position, we're going to pressure outwards along the mat. And that way, we get a very strong attack that really works even on good opponents. This, in my opinion, is the only udigatame that's really worth using and investigating from top position. There's no sacrifice of chest-to-chest position. It creates genuine breaking pressure. You'll feel it when you drill it. It's a scary lock. And it doesn't suffer from the typical faults of most udigatame from top position, where you lose chest-to-chest contact. There's just too much risk and not enough upside. On this one, there's almost no risk and a very big upside. One of the most important elements of becoming an athlete who specializes in the use of udigatame is to see and use the special relationship between udigatame and ashigarami. Udigatame, of course, is an attack on your opponent's arm. Ashigarami is a control and attack on your opponent's legs. You want to be able to play that upper body, lower body game. Udigatame and ashigarami, in particular one form of ashigarami, the arimi ashigarami or entering ashigarami, sometimes known as a standard form of ashigarami. These are two paired techniques that go together so well. You must learn to use them together. Let's look at a situation where someone is on 2 knees and we're working from bottom position. The first relationship you have to know has to do with the distance of your opponent's hips to your hips. From any situation where we go underneath an opponent and start elevating them, the first thing we observe here is what is the distance between his hips and mine. The further Placido's hips from my hips, the easier it is for us to attack udigatame. Okay, so anytime we see an opponent's hips are a long way from ours, we're always thinking in terms of udigatame. Once we get that guy elevated, that's the first attack we're going to be looking for. If an opponent is positioned so that his hips start coming over my hips, this is the perfect time for us to go into the legs and start attacking ashigarami. Okay? Now, from his perspective, he can see there's a threat starting to emerge here. Almost always what happens is they're going to try and remove that threat. And that's going to create situations where you can go right back into udigatame and attack the upper body. Remember the basic rule, guys. When the knees come off the mat, ashigarami is easy. When the hands go on the floor, udigatame is easy. And you play those two against each other. You look at your opponent's knees and you look at your opponent's hands. When the knees start coming off the mat, ashigarami. When the hands start posting on the floor, udigatame. And you play between them. So once again, when we tie up with the training partner, we come in here. The further the hips away from me, the easier to take advantage of those hands on the mat. As an opponent's hips come up and over us, the easier it is for us to come out to the side and start attacking here. When he starts to clear feet out of the way, then it's an easy thing for us to go right back on the attack with udigatame. So this is your first relationship that you must observe and make use of. The second one you want to make use of. Whenever we see an opponent take a knee off the mat, that will make udigatame much more difficult. Okay? But when a knee comes off the mat, there's no reason now why we can't just go directly into ashigarami. As you see an opponent trying to peel the ashigarami off, we just bring our knees through on the knees. And that's the perfect time for us to go back into udigatame. So that's our second element that we're trying to observe. Anytime knees come off the mat, it becomes more difficult to hit the classic udagatames. But much easier for us now to go in and snatch up that ashigarami. As we see we're losing an ashigarami, it's an easy thing for us to go right back into the original attack, udigatame. When someone stands over us, almost impossible to hit a good udigatame now. Even if my opponent put a hand on my shoulder, the position is just not good for udigatame. This is the time to go straight in, start attacking those ashigarami attacks, and get this guy under some serious pressure. Once you put them down to a hit, they come back fighting their way back up. That's exactly the time for us to go right back into and start attacking the udigatame. Once you understand this special relationship, you can absolutely dominate the tempo of a match and keep your opponent under constant attack. Every time a knee comes off the mat, threaten the legs. Every time your opponent posts a hand on the mat, threaten the udigatame. And each time they move away from one, they almost always give you the other. Understand it in terms of the distance between your hips and your opponent's hips when you go to elevate them. The more the hips are over your hips, the more we go ashigarami. The further the hips are down the body, the more we go after the elbow with udigatame. When he starts taking legs off the mat, go right into the legs. If he takes 2 legs off the mat, go for both of them. So once again, in summary, if he's got 2 knees on the mat, we're always looking to elevate and get this guy up like so. We look at his hips. The more the hips are over my hips, the easier it's going to be to go into the legs. The further the hips down the body, the easier it is to go after his elbow. If we see this guy taking a knee off the mat, it's going to be hard to go after the elbows now, but it's going to be really easy to go into the legs. As he tries to recover the legs, that's the best time for us to start going right back into the elbows. When someone stands over us, almost impossible to go after the elbows now. But very, very easy for us to go into legs and start knocking people down. As they go to recover in these positions, lo and behold, we're right back in position. We can start snatching up elbows. Once you understand that clear relationship between the classic ashigarami, the so-called Arimi ashigarami, and udigatame, you can go after your opponent and pair those two against each other and get tremendous success, attacking constantly throughout the duration of a match and really put your opponent under pressure.